All right, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover the grand illusion behind the absolute most ubiquitous financial card in your wallet. I mean, think about it. Whether you're buying a quick morning coffee, picking up some groceries, or booking a flight halfway across the world, chances are incredibly high that you're relying on one very specific logo to make it all happen. So today, we're going to break down the wild history and the brilliant mechanics of exactly how Visa took over the world.
Literally, every single second as we speak, thousands of people all around the globe are just effortlessly tapping, swiping, or inserting a Visa card to buy something. It's this massive, non-stop river of global commerce flowing across borders and time zones. And honestly, we almost never stop to think about how it actually works.
Because when you use that card, it genuinely feels like they're giving you credit, right? But here is the ultimate paradigm shift we need to wrap our heads around right from the start. Visa does not actually lend out any money, not a single cent. They don't issue the credit, and they definitely don't take on the risk if you can't pay your bill at the end of the month.
Section 1. The Great Visa Illusion. Moving, not lending.
Section 2. The banking revolution begins. The birth of plastic.
So to really understand how they solved the massive logistical headache of global commerce and built this omnipresent network, we have to look at how consumer credit evolved. Back in the 1950s, borrowing money for everyday stuff was just incredibly clunky and totally localized. Moving into the 60s, we start seeing these early, somewhat restricted iterations of credit cards, but then the 1970s hit, and everything changes with the launch of Mastercard, which was the true pioneer of modern consumer credit as we know it today.
Mastercard was the foundational spark. It basically ignited the entire concept of a multi-purpose credit card and totally transformed how everyday people interacted with their banks. Suddenly, you just had this revolving line of credit right in your pocket. But there was a massive catch. Because the card carried the name of one specific bank, competing banks absolutely flat out refused to promote a rival's brand to their own customers. Corporate pride created a huge roadblock, but that exact friction is what forced the whole system to evolve.
Section 3. Becoming a global brand. Going international. To get around this roadblock, they executed a brilliant strategic pivot. Step 1. Create a totally neutral, universally pronounceable brand. Visa. It was a word that didn't sound like anyone's competitor. Step 2. Armed with that new identity, they kicked off a massive global expansion, inviting banks worldwide to join this cooperative network. And Step 3. This newly formed alliance let them standardize international payments across borders. Just like that, a card issued in New York worked flawlessly in Tokyo. But, as you'll see, mastering physical plastic was really only half the battle.
Section 4. The digital transformation. Surviving the tech shift.
We have all witnessed this stark transition in retail history. We went from an era of purely physical commerce, actually swiping a piece of plastic at a checkout counter, to a radically new paradigm that's totally dominated by e-commerce, online shopping, and invisible digital wallets. And while a lot of traditional legacy companies were completely wiped out during this transition, Visa managed to seamlessly bridge the gap.
They stayed relevant by essentially embedding their technology directly into the digital revolution. They integrated securely right into online shopping checkouts to ensure e-commerce dominance. They actually pioneered the technology behind those fast, secure contactless taps we all use, and they successfully positioned themselves deep inside the mobile wallets on your smartphone. The medium changed, but the network, it remained exactly the same. Which brings us to the actual, highly lucrative business model.
Section 5. How Visa makes money. The invisible toll booth.
Okay, imagine the flow of a payment in the real world. Step 1, you buy an item. Step 2, the merchant accepts your card. Step 3, the merchant's acquiring bank steps in to process it. And for Step 4, Visa sits right at the very center of this whole chain. They basically act as a super secure, high-speed communication bridge, just routing the transaction data between the merchant's bank and the bank that issued your card.
And when you look at how the money actually divides up, it's fascinating. The merchant keeps the vast majority, obviously. Then the issuing bank and the acquiring bank both take their respective slices for handling the funds and carrying the risk. And then there's Visa. Their transaction fee is so microscopic it practically rounds to 0%. But when you're operating as an invisible toll booth taking a tiny fractional fee on billions of transactions every single time someone buys a coffee, it generates an absolute fortune.
Visa connects the banks. It doesn't act as one. By functioning purely as a global payment network instead of a traditional financial institution, Visa totally sidesteps the massive risks of lending money. If a consumer completely defaults on their debt, the bank takes the hit, not Visa. Visa just generates its profit from the sheer, unstoppable volume of global exchange. But what happens to that network when the very nature of money continues to evolve?
Section 6. The future of payments. What is next?
Well, the future of global commerce relies on incredibly rapid innovation. We are looking at a landscape that's soon going to be dominated by highly secure AI payments, the total ubiquity of advanced digital wallets, and a massive surging demand for instantaneous, real-time payments across borders. Visa is racing right now to make sure its infrastructure remains the invisible bedrock supporting all of these future technologies.
Ultimately, it really all comes back to one core thesis. Visa doesn't print money, it moves money. And that changed the world. Honestly, I think that perfectly captures the absolute essence of their global empire. They don't print the cash you're spending, they just seamlessly move the data verifying it, and they do it faster, safer, and more universally than anyone else on the planet.
So as things like AI and real-time transfers completely reshape how we interact with value, you really have to wonder, exactly how will your very next digital tap shape the future of this sprawling, invisible empire? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.